By the way, he happened to be a major film star, so his days are like several thousands of rupees of money, right? So it's a very costly affair for him if he moves something like that. So I, I wouldn't have really paid much attention to it, but then I know his suffering before and after, and how everything was really good. But he also had a good lifestyle too, even though he was a star. And because he was a star, he could afford all these people to maintain his nutrition coach, his exercise coach, his my mind setup coach. There has a lot of coaches like that. He spends more like a lot of money per year, right, on that, because they charge a lot of money with each movie too. But that's not important. What is important is he is a human being and he has been suffering with this migraine. And then when he got this manipulation, see, that is a fascinating thing is you take acupuncture, you take prana in yoga, and you take some of the martial arts, they all kind of recruit this energy that we all have. But how we make that negative versus how we make that positive, that is something is in our hands. I kind of do everything non-invasive, natural methods, and do not promise anything like a miracle for people. But one thing I know, you can keep a positive outlook and improve your energy. But then a lot of people cannot do that because they build up this thought construct image about themselves and they think that they are, right? So if you can get out of that setup, that your thought is dictating to you everything and you are hanging on to the so-called personality or ego that you have developed, and you are under the influence of that, and you miss the moment, you miss your own inner um, authentic abundant self, right? That's what I always point out to. Um, One sentence from Ramana Maharshi helped me to be in meditative awareness and not to sit down and meditate was to one's attention has always to be poised on one's inner self, not the egoic self, the self that is beyond the ego. So, I mean, many people will bark at me or bite me the moment I say, get rid of your ego, right? Because that's the ego that's talking, right? And then they say, oh, what are you saying? You want me to lose everything I built? My name, my fame, my talents, my thing, and all that. Yeah, you don't, nobody wants you to lose them, but don't make them as the identity of you. Obviously, you're born and then you learn the skills, right? So there's a gap, but we forget about that. Um, for example, I'm a physician, worked for several decades, maybe 4.5 decades. Then I kind of eased into wellness business where I want to give it back and I want to help the society, the hospital systems, the people, the planet, how to be well. That's my own, you can call it my own madness or you can call it my own naivety or whatever, but that happens to be, I'm doing it. In this process, do I have to be associated with the name that I comes with from my degrees, from my experience, from all that? I cannot voluntarily relinquish that. That is going beyond the thing. So that means every day you are completely new. You come back to who you are. You are beginner's mind, right? I'm going to talk about this more in the evening room. But for now, if anybody wants to come up and talk, I'll be happy to engage them. Yeah. that exercise is try that in the morning before anybody up, and then so that you can really get the best of that energy circulating, and then come into the world with your energy revamped. So very simple. Stand up and start sit down, and then take the deep breaths as the arms go up, and then as they go down, make sure you are breathing as though you are breathing out through the legs also, to the toes and all that. So that we can deep breath in, deep breath out. That's all. But keep your mind steady and the breathing, and the focus on that, and then see how the energy goes up. And they say because of that energy going up, and you are doing 108 times, that energy kind of spreads, and then people perceive that. I don't know about that, but that is what they are claiming. Obviously, in my yoga practice, in my training for the wellness club of the students, I do a lot of breathing, and also advise people to do breathing in between the work also. And also in the end, you can have another sitting of formula. I do 10 different breathing exercises with my students. But they may see different where there are like hundreds of them, but then I do 10 different varieties that they could do. They were oriented for a purpose, all of them, right? There is, first of all, cleaning both your nasal passages, and then there's one that cleans up your sinuses, and there's one that kind of stimulates abdominal energy, and there is one where normally your left nostril, right nostril, one of them will be dominant for a while, and the next one will open up. But in this one, you make it such a way that both are open equally, and you are efficiently breathing better, right? Otherwise, one nose will be allowing only 40-50% maybe, and the other one is allowing 80-90%. And then it slightly closes, and then the other one opens up. This is a physiological phenomenon. It's not like something miracle or anything. This is there. So you can check it yourself. You can close one nostril and breathe to the other, and then breathe out to the other, and then try that at different times. You will see that one time left is more open than right. You can actually feel it. That's a physiological thing that happens with all everybody. Some maybe 45 minutes, some maybe 90 minutes. That will alternate which one kind of closes, right? So if you want to be efficiently breathing, that's both nostrils are working at least 80-90%, both of them. To open that, you kind of practice this alternate nostril breathing, which will help you to improve your efficiency of breathing. And also, if you sit down, you breathe better. You sit down straight also. Don't slouch or don't lean into the chair, but you sit in the middle and straight. Okay. So that will be very good for you. Um, and then there is uh, this is a fun breathing type I like, which I call bumblebee. In Sanskrit, it's called Brahmari. I'm sure the yoga practitioners, or pranayama practitioners, they know about this. It's a fun thing because what you do is you use all fingers of both hands, both thumbs closing your ears, and your index finger and middle finger on the forehead, and you close your eyes and place the ring finger on the eyes, on the closed eyes, and then the little finger hangs around the mouth, and you close the mouth, and then you start with the ears closed, eyes closed, mouth closed. You breathe through the nose deeply, and then when you are breathing out is the fun part. When you're breathing out, you breathe out saying like a bumblebee noise, like a bee noise, like that. That is very good for the singers, speakers too. If they have a lot of upper nasopharynx congestion and all that, that will be relieved. So there is so much with each one. I can tell you some is good for asthmatic, Some is good for people who are very shallow breathers. Some is good for people who don't have energy. So different uses are there just with the breath. One thing I can vouch for, my personal experience. I was doing only physical yoga before. I started in 1985. Maybe for the first few years I was doing it because I wasn't really aware of the significance of breathing in yoga, in mind control, and all that, right? Then I was introduced to that. Actually, I studied yoga from BKS Iyengar initially, right? And later it spread so many things. But then I discovered some things by myself. So the period before I did only physical yoga without really worrying about the breath. And then when I switched it to aligning exercise, there's the asanas, the postures with the deep breathing and the breathing types. I learned them, right? Um, Remarkable progress in energy, in quality of the postures, everything improved. So, if at all you learn, first learn the breathing correctly and incorporate that into your daily routine. Okay, and it will solve a lot of problems. Anxious people will get better. Really, lack of energy, fatigue, they will get better, and your thought stream gets straightened out, and you will be more clear, and you will not have that many upper airway infections. You will be having better metabolism. That's why diabetes and other conditions improve. I can go on, okay, because that is what I saw. As I told you, I don't take any medications because I don't need them. If I need them, probably I would, but then I don't need them. And then I do these lifestyle things of keep my body moving through yoga, through walking, through whatever I do, functional fitness, right? And then I keep my mind silent. That's the key. Very big deal. My mind is quiet without the reactions, without the psychological hang-ups and all. So suppose you guys are mean to me, I would not hang out to it and allow it to continue. I will drop it. That's your problem. You got some problem, you can resolve it. Why do I have to react to it? Buddha, right? Somebody came and spit on him, and he has no reaction. The students got really perturbed. And then they said, "Sir, how is that you are not even reacting to somebody?" He said, "Yeah, that is the thing, that is the clue. The person who have done something to me or insulted to me, if I don't accept the insult, is there any problem? I don't have any problem because I've never accepted his insult." I think that there's a lot of wisdom there. Okay. His whole philosophy is on that. His whole solution was on that first arrow is something comes from outside that we cannot help it sometimes people do what they want to do, and but if I don't accept it, if I don't react to it, then I'm not putting another arrow into myself. So that is what usually people do. The second arrow is your reaction. So once you understand it, it's not that you don't have self-respect, you don't know how to depend on all that, but actually that kind of passive resistance is a real good defense. Gandhi, right? Passive, Martin Luther King, passive resistance, right? Nelson Mandela, passive resistance. So all these people learned and evolved into that kind of not having the second arrow, right? So this also I talked about so many times. Uh, so anybody coming, or you want me to close down? Okay. There are people on the wisdom app, and I don't know the other channels whether they are there or not. But anyway, tonight I'm going to talk about mind being your mistress, and that's why you shouldn't quote her. You should stay with your real wife, which is your real nature. Is that? I mean, women also can take their real nature as the real husband, and the other one is not. Something like it may be a crude example. But something when I read about it in Ramana Maharshi's writings, um, it really showed me what's called there is no mind, there are only thoughts. We kind of allow to identify with that kind of no mind, not no mind, with a mind, and that's why we suffer. But if we know that there's no real mind, only thoughts, then it becomes much easier to handle that whole thing. Otherwise, you are giving more life to so-called this one. Okay. Um, so a question of perspective, right? We were led to believe that we have a mind, we have a character to it, and we have to, employ that. All the wisdom, everything goes in these cases. But any given time, if you understand this thing, you operate out of silence, and you will be uh, much more productive actually, you know and also much more peaceful and happy, quiet. And that solitude of uh, you will enjoy, and that is the real blessing. You don't need anything, but you just have to be aware of what's going on within you. You don't have to take any medications to calm it down. You don't have to take any alcohol or anything like that, any psychedelic drugs. They are promoting now micro doses of psychedelics. I mean, people have taken these psychedelics for centuries. Opium, cocaine, and other things. They're taken for years, right? For centuries. So that was there all the time. But at the same time, these practices where you don't take anything external, but just understand your interior and be calm. I prefer that. I think we have the capacity. We shouldn't relinquish that to something like taking from an agent outside, unless you have like like I was watching this cannabis that was really legalized and all that. There were some kids that had um, epilepsy, and they were not having any relief from anything else when they were given. So that kind of specific medical reasons, I would really agree, because there is enough data on that too. But to get these mythical, mystical experiences where you are seeing something like a illusion or delusion or something like that, and then they say, "Oh, I have this small dose and it will work wonders on me, and I'm good." But I wonder how many people will stop at that microdose. That's the problem. They may ask more dose or bigger dose, and they keep on taking that, and then they have the excuse too. And if you really give them like is a medicine, you can take it, I think the abuse will be more. As it is, we're suffering with fentanyl overdose, so many deaths. That's a tragedy. We didn't have to. When I was on the floor at one of the hospitalist hospitals where I was working as a hospitalist, and this nurse, she was always asking for fentanyl for every patient. See, on the day she was not working, other people, they were not asking for those. But the moment she comes, she wants fentanyl for every patient. So I wouldn't budge it. I would not give it to her. But she would have lots of tantrums and all. I think that's she running a business there, taking the prescription from the physicians and then pretending she's giving to the patients, and then she's selling it. And for her, emergency room physician working downstairs, she is in cohorts, so both are them together. So there are so many practices like that where people are abused, and people are given these crutches, weaknesses, as though they are good for them, and then they don't have any place to go. Okay. Anyway, I can go on ranting like this, so I will stop it here. If anybody is interested, you can come up. Otherwise, I'll stop it, and then I'll see you back tonight at my regular room. Okay.